The following episode will contain spoilers. You have been warned.
You're listening to Cinema IRL, the podcast that throws you into the movie and asks the question, what would you do? Want a good icebreaker for a first date? Trying discussing the ways you're planning on killing him? That's one way to do it as we discuss Drop. And now, Cinema IRL.
I wish I could switch places for just one day.
What would you do?
Put yourself in my shoes.
How do we handle this?
What would you do?
Put yourself in my position.
What would you do?
Now it's your turn.
Now, I have been on some bad first dates in my life, but yeah, I don't think I can compare to this one.
Yeah, dating's hard these days. So,
And that's just when it's normal.
yeah, no kidding. So, folks, this episode we are talking about Drop. Violet is a widowed mother who goes to an upscale restaurant to meet Henry, her charming and handsome date. However, her pleasant evening soon turns into a living nightmare when she receives phone messages from a mysterious figure who threatens to kill her young son and sister unless she kills Henry. Dun dun dun!
So,
Blumhouse.
even though we have a voice at the very beginning that says spoilers, this is once again a reminder because I sometimes will jump straight to the spoilers like I'm going to do now. So if you haven't seen the movie, I think you should see the movie, actually. I like the movie. Oh. Okay. How did the old guy know all of those young person memes? That guy did not seem like someone who would know a lot about memes. What's popular with the kids. And that, by the way, kids had a Z at the end of it.
Okay. So Violet is in the restaurant with her date Henry, and all of a sudden gets a request for someone to drop her a message, and they start being threatening messages. And we start off with some funny memes, ha ha ha, which is what Scott's referencing, and he's kind of jumping to the spoilers to the older gentleman who sent these memes. I don't know. I mean, maybe he had his grandkid help him.
Hey, I need to get someone to commit murder. Could you help me with the memes for that?
Sounds like a job for Fiverr.
Yeah. I mean, here's the truth is I don't know that much about airdropping. I mean, I'm familiar with the technology, but I don't really use it. I think I've used it once or twice ever, possibly. Though I think the guy was right. I think it is generally,
Well, it's location-based. I mean, you have to be in proximity to someone to be able to get them.
Yeah, but the traceability of it.
So what we find out over time, which we're going to be exploring here in What Would You Do, is it turns out Henry is a press photographer for the mayor. And Violet is raising a young son after her husband killed himself in a domestic violence incident where he was going to kill her, and then, long story short, he ended up killing himself after years and years of abusing her. So this is her first big date out, and she's nervous, but then she starts getting these scary airdrop messages, which ultimately turn into a guy at her house wearing a black ski mask that says, I'm going to kill your sister who's babysitting and your son unless you do as we tell you.
Yeah, and I mean, she's a mom, so she's going to do it. But I want to first start and go back.
Okay.
And I feel like what I'm about to say is something that's actually normal, or somewhat normal. But for me, it's so insanely foreign and so insanely awful.
Okay.
Who messages back and forth for 3 months before they have their first date? If I'm messaging back and forth with someone for 3 months, I have to assume it's a scammer.
Yeah, that's a good what would you do? Would you communicate with someone you met on a dating app for 3 months? No. You have to assume that they are in some other country and attempting to get something from you. That is abnormal, and if you continue that, I think you're looking for trouble.
Yeah, I don't like the term online dating because it is online meeting, offline dating.
Yeah.
And
that's a good point.
Yeah.
If you're dating somebody via text messages and they never make an overture to meet you, there's a problem. And I have a funny feeling that Henry did likely make an overture to meet her, and that she was like, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
And catfishing can go both ways, girls or boys.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yes, it seems to me like it was more likely than not that she was the one who pushed it off for so long, probably because of trauma. And
yeah, and if someone says they're a widow with a young kid and they don't meet you for 3 months, even though they have a good reason, right there, that kind of seems scammy.
Yeah,
I'm a widow. It kind of seems like you're looking for someone to take care of you, maybe, I don't know, and that someone's going to step forward. I don't know. There's just some part of that where if I saw that profile, I would wonder if that was true.
I mean, maybe they talked on the phone, or maybe we don't know, but
we do know it's their first meeting after 3 months.
Because I know how long it took from the time that you and I first started messaging to the time.
Well, you're not normal.
We
let's make that
met,
really
and
clear.
I think that was maybe 5 hours.
That's not normal.
Actually,
most people are not like that.
I've had same days.
Well, yeah, it's because that's what you push for.
Well, yeah, because when I was dating, I was out there to try to find someone. I was not there to fuck around, messaging people back and forth and
meet me now.
Just screw around. No, yeah.
Meet me now.
Listen. It takes a very special person to be able to put up with my shit, and I want to find out sooner than later whether or not you being whoever it is, are that person. Congratulations, Amber. You're the one I found who can at least mostly tolerate my shit.
Yay. Yay. So yeah, no, that's definitely a good first what would you do is don't talk to people that long. I think I encountered someone who said that they were a widow. I think that's why I have some sort of bias towards that as maybe being untrue, but no shade sent to the widows or the widowers in the group. I know it's tough.
Yeah.
So they meet at this restaurant, and as they are dining, she's continuing to getting threatening messages here, and they've cloned her phone. They have cameras aimed at her. She quickly realizes that there's no safe place, even the bathroom, that they can't see her, what she's doing physically and what she's doing on her phone, and they basically said, tell your date what's going on, and we're going to kill your son, and we're going to kill your sister. So she is operating under duress, and meanwhile, as she's doing this, the bad guy on the phone basically says, smile, act like you're having a good time. If he leaves, your son dies. So everything she does, if you don't do this, your son dies.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering, how did they get the phone cloned?
Well, the bad guy at the end, wasn't he one of the people at the restaurant?
No, he was the gas meter guy who came to read her gas meter.
Oh, is that who that was? I knew he looked familiar and I couldn't place it. Okay.
So I'm wondering...
He maybe went in and did something.
Yeah, I can get a lot of things, but I know the concept of cloning a phone. I just don't.
You just need to, again, proximity.
Well, I don't. I feel like you need a little more proximity in time to be able to do that, but.
Yeah, who knows what that happened.
I don't know. Okay.
So she is going throughout this evening and ultimately is told to poison her date. There's a vial of poison in the bathroom in the paper towel holder. And yeah, poison your date.
Fentanyl, right?
Yes, because as a therapist, apparently she had the ability to prescribe that, and the bad guys realized that, hey, let's make this look real and something she'd really have the ability to have access to, so they picked that drug.
Yeah.
So what would you do?
Well,
I mean, in any of these circumstances where you're sitting there and then somehow something threatening comes through and they say, don't tell anybody.
Well, one... if I am having to poison someone with fentanyl, a non-clear substance, I am not going to get 2 white tequila shots.
Isn't tequila yellow? Wasn't that a good choice? I was thinking that was a good choice.
It's fine if you don't get white tequila or silver.
Well, didn't she just get tequila?
No. Those shots were crystal freaking clear. I wondered too. At first, I was like, maybe when they were on the countertop, I thought, well, maybe they are. But at one point, she held it up in a certain way, and I'm like, that's as clear as water.
Okay, so I guess our tip of the day here is if you're going to drug someone, get a beverage that is the same color as your poison.
Yeah. And
I don't know if I want to be giving out murder tips on this podcast.
And if you're the guy, whatever, the bad guy,
yeah,
you see that? Wouldn't you know that you put fentanyl there? It's a non-clear substance. The shot he's drinking is clear.
Well, he gave her poison. It was up to her to figure out how to get him to drink it. She is the one that independently ordered tequila.
Well, yes.
And honestly, I probably would have too, because I didn't realize there's different colors of tequila. No, I think of tequila as yellow, and then that poison was yellow, and I probably would have done the same thing. So what would you do? The same thing.
Well, the silver tequila, that tends to be a slightly higher end tequila, which given that was a slightly higher end restaurant or probably way higher end, I could see that. But yeah, I mean, you get some dark rum or even normal tequila. Yeah, normal tequila would have been just fine.
Well, she ordered tequila. I mean, they brought her what they brought her.
Well, yeah, I mean, she
So
ordered
what would you do is send this tequila is too light for my poison. Can you come back and bring me some darker tequila?
Well, I mean, she ordered it at the bar. I just would have said some, maybe like, is it reposado? I think it's.
This is also bartender hour.
I think it's reposado. I could be wrong about that. Yeah, Blanco. Blanco is what she got. You want reposado.
Oh, okay. Or
How
you
do
could just,
I know this? I hate tequila.
You could also put some grenadine in there and just,
Yeah, what I would do is I wouldn't recommend tequila. The first time I ever got drunk off tequila. And let me tell you, I feel like there's a thing that, like, if the first time you ever get drunk is kind of a bad drunk, like, whatever you were drinking that night, you're going to have an aversion to pretty much forever. I can do it in like margaritas, but if you're like, hey, Scott, let's do tequila shots, I'd be like, hey, let's not.
oh, I have a sliced idea. Of
course,
what my first drink was.
Of course, in fairness, at this point, if you're like, hey, Scott, let's do any kind of shots, I'm like, I'm too old. No, maybe one.
There are plenty of people older than you who drink like fish.
Yeah, I know.
So, aside from the choosing a different beverage for your poison, what would you do? You're having to go through this all by yourself under duress.
Yeah.
And trying to maintain a light and airy demeanor, like everything's okay.
Yeah, so this was interesting because obviously she is trying to find a way to get around this.
Yeah, and she's very clever. She works some magic at the hostess station. She tries to slip some money to the piano player. Like, she's trying to find some help, but keeps getting busted at every turn.
So, yeah, I don't know if I even would have tried the lipstick tip thing.
Oh, yeah. So,
Because she's clearly being watched. She just doesn't know how clearly. I mean, I guess she's thinking maybe that. I mean, I guess if she thinks the only camera is the one behind her, that maybe they can't see. But
you can't read lipstick. As soon as she was writing that, and later when they show us the bill that she wrote, she wrote a message on a $20 bill. So later when they show us the message, it is much more visible than when she wrote it because you can't write clearly in lipstick. So maybe what would you do is carry fine tip lipstick, so if you ever need to write a message in lipstick, you are prepared.
yeah, also, can you please tell me how that $20 bill got to the bottom of her salad?
It's funny. I thought that same thing too, because even though our bad guy Richard was sitting at the bar next to the piano player who ultimately died because Violet was trying to get some help, and the bad guy Richard grabbed the 20, he snuck back in the kitchen and snuck it under her salad?
Yeah.
I thought that same thing too. So what would I do if I was the producer? I'd fix that.
I mean, I don't know, you're working on the inside with someone else there? I mean, I would think not. I would think you'd want to keep this to as few people as possible if you're covering up the wrongdoings of the mayor.
Yeah. And the long story short here is, again, spoilers, please drop out if you don't know the ending here.
Drop out.
Yeah, Henry is an informant for the government because the mayor is shady. So he has
He's mayor of Chicago. I kind of feel like, by definition, you need to be a little shady.
It's a natural.
Comes with the job.
So he has some materials on his camera, which he brought up with him, so no one stole it in the car, that the bad people are trying to get Violet to destroy. So they have her steal the SD card out of his camera, crush it, flush it, and then they want to take down Henry too. And that's why they're saying, you got to kill Henry.
Yeah. So, I mean, it gets... Yeah, okay, sure. You want me to steal an SD card, smash it, flush it. Obviously, I've looked through it, and I see what kind of incriminating evidence is on it.
Yeah, there's invoices and dollar amounts. And
I'm helping a not good person, but...
You're saving your...
Yeah, I'm saving my kid. I'll smash it. It becomes an interesting choice, though, once you're told that you have to kill someone to save someone. I mean, listen, mom's going to do anything for her kid. And if that means killing her date, she's going to kill her date. And I I don't know that I could blame any mother in the world if they felt like they needed to make that choice. I mean, obviously that's an insane choice to have to make, but I kind of feel like you do make that choice, but also it's best to try to see if you can figure it out. Obviously with drops, like they said, you gotta be within 50 feet.
Yeah, and she had her suspicions along the way. First, that it was a guy who was waiting a little bit too long for his sister to join him. Then the piano player.
Yeah, and his texting seemed to line up with when the messages came.
Yeah, great job, Jason Blum in redirecting us towards him.
Yeah, and I mean they did little things like when she ran into the waiter at first. Like, I thought, okay, well, that's something. But
right.
that ended up being a red herring as well.
Yeah. No, horror films and thrillers are certainly good at diverting our attention to the things that aren't right. So let's kind of jump to the end. So our heroine, Violet, figures out what's happening. She is finally in a position where Richard is taken out, and before Richard died, he basically gave the okay to, hey, kill the kid and sister. So she's there. Her date, Henry, has been shot by the bad guy. The window's blown out. Everyone's run in terror. And she asked for his keys so she can go take his car and drive to her house, and also asked him to call 911. What would you do in that situation?
Okay, well, first, let's go back to when she poisons his dessert.
Okay, not Henry's, but Richard's the bad guy.
Poisons Richard's dessert.
So she ultimately finds out who the bad guy is, confronts him, has a conversation with him, and then in doing so, manages to use the poison on Richard and not her date, Henry.
So I used to think that this was something that was limited to bad guys, but apparently not. Apparently it works for good guys too. When you're in the process or attempting to kill someone,
as we all can relate to,
you should kill them. Don't draw this out. Don't do anything that could potentially give the other person a chance to do something. Now, normally, if it's a bad guy, that means you should just come in and shoot the person. Don't be like, oh, I'm doing this because blah, 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 and blah, 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 and like telling you, let me tell you all my evil, dastardly plans here before I kill you to give you a chance to know them. And
that's also how horror movies work when you're the victim. They have this whole conversation of, why did you do this and who are you?
But in this case,
who cares? Shoot them.
Her ego just about got people killed because he's like, I'm playing chess and you're playing Yahtzee, and she knows that she's gotten one over on him because of the poison. So do you know what you do in that situation? You don't say anything about his dessert. You keep talking. You keep talking to him because when you talk, you respirate more, which means it's going to force the poison through his system faster. And
well, I don't know if that's common knowledge.
I mean,
but that's a good. What would you do for you?
You want to keep the guy actively engaged. He's already.
So he thinks Henry has consumed the poison. He's enjoying winning. He's chowing down on his dessert. And after he finishes the dessert, I can't remember what Violet says, but she says something.
Yeah, I used to sit across like there was nothing wrong for my... But just like I'm doing now.
Yeah, she goes back and shares a story of her abusive husband and how they go out to a nice dinner and then ultimately reveals that, I'm playing chess too. Then he realizes what happens. He looked at his dessert, and at that point he's mad, and he's still alive, and he tries to shoot her and shoots Henry and shoots up the whole place.
Yeah, she wasn't playing Yahtzee. She was playing frickin' Candyland or Tic-Tac-Toe. If you tell someone, hey, you're about to die soon, I'm going to give you a fair warning so that you can pull out a phone.
Okay, well, she didn't do that, but she did show her cards.
Yeah, so you can pull out a gun, start shooting, and be able to tell the other person to shoot and kill your family. Like, no.
People are really bad about keeping their mouths freaking shut.
But that's the thing.
It doesn't matter what it is.
It was her ego.
Yeah.
Her ego.
Yeah, I would agree.
Her ego got people shot and hurt, and I don't...
That's actually a really good point. It was her ego because she wanted to be like, yeah, I got one up on you. You're right. It was
you
her
get one
ego.
up on him by
he-
standing over his dead body.
Yeah. I mean, she should have walked away, letting him think he won.
Well, you don't walk away.
Well, again, not all of us know how poisons work.
Well, but-
to be able
but
to
you
talk
assu-
them into their
Well,
system.
even if you're not talking to him, you still want to make sure that you know everything he's doing at that point. Like for the
Okay.
rest of his life, you want to know. If he's on the phone, you want to know what he's saying. You want to stay and keep the guy engaged. Whether you're trying to
Wait, what do you mean you want to know what he's... Oh, do you mean for the rest of his life that is very short?
both minutes of it.
Okay.
Because
Yeah, no, that's a
poison,
good point.
poisons people. It's not one of those things that's supposed to take hours and hours.
Yeah, I certainly don't know how long would be appropriate for something like that. But you have a good point. It was her ego that tipped her hat and let him know what was going on so he could come after her. You're right. That actually was really stupid.
Yeah.
Because
And-
I would definitely not do that. You need to know when to keep your mouth shut. People just don't know that.
Also, I might have said if I were her, Henry, I'll explain later, beat the shit out of this guy.
Interesting.
Like, if she had not poisoned him,
Yeah.
if she had not or didn't have that.
But that's a good question. If you were on a first date with someone and, well, I don't know if you're the best example because you're kind of a unique breed, but I was going to say if you had just had your first date with this person and someone said beat the shit out of this
Well,
guy,
or
I'll
maybe-
explain later, would you do that?
Maybe beat the shit out of or incapacitate this person.
Would you do that? Not knowing anything about this and that knowing that she's been acting strange, that she lied about her watch, that she lied about the limes.
Yes, I would. Because
Again, I don't think you're the average Joe.
I'm going to put something together. Like there's something going on and she's telling me something and I'm going to do it probably without even breathing. And just have to be like, I better trust this person. I better because I'm going to go with it. I've been talking with them for 3 months. Yeah, because that's the thing too.
That actually is a good approach. I definitely don't know if everyone would be game for that, but yeah, that's an interesting idea.
If she's able to tell Henry fast enough, or even if there's some way of her turning her back as he's walking over, and just says incapacitate him, and like kind of give a wink nudge real fast, because obviously he's got a gun. You got to get him before he can pull his gun out.
Yeah.
I mean, and you don't know he has a gun, but you have to assume he has a gun.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to be in that position and not have a gun.
Yeah.
So
Bad guys carry.
yeah. Now, there's still some issues there about the phone and communication with people at the house. But what I'm doing at that point, I'm incapacitating or even with the poison, I'm getting over to the house. Well, see, this is where you get to another what would you do?
Yeah. I mean, I think at that point I would have to call the cops.
I mean, she got Henry shot. Yeah, I mean, because here's the thing. What are you going to do?
Oh, yeah. Her running into the house.
But you-
Again, what was she going to do? There's a large man with a gun. I mean,
Yeah.
the chances of her overpowering him are really slim. So why are you running?
Yeah, the only advantage she has is that she knows, obviously, the layout of her house.
Yeah.
She knows where everything is. But, yeah, no, I'm not. If I know someone's got a gun in there, I mean, you really have no choice but to call the police and say, listen, this is an absolute right now life or death emergency.
I was surprised the police weren't there when she got there. I suppose for the sake of the movie, you couldn't have had that. But I thought, boy, you would think the police response would be a little bit higher or faster.
Yeah, I mean,
But yeah, I mean, as much as you want to save someone, if you run into any situation with no resources, no physical ability,
yeah, I mean, you're
like-
looking to get yourself killed.
yeah, and then you're not saving anybody.
Yeah, and all you're doing now is just, hey, your sister dies, your son dies. Oh, and you die now too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I definitely would have. I mean, she couldn't get Henry to do it, obviously, because she'd already gotten Henry shot.
Yeah.
And she's not going to be able to communicate with somebody else there unless there was a police officer right there.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's
It's a hard situation, and there's adrenaline pumping, and all you know is that you've got to save your kid.
yeah, it's a desperate times calls for desperate measures situation, but
You also don't want to just guarantee your own imminent death.
I mean, I suppose she does have the other advantage that she has security cameras.
Yeah.
And she can look at them to know where the guy is. So she could potentially use that to avoid him long enough to find something in her house. But
and
even that's pretty suspect.
The last thing that Richard said, the bad guy, was he called the person at the house and said, kill them. So the fact that they were still alive when she got there was kind of a miracle. So she's obviously racing against the clock here.
Yeah. If I'm Jen,
the sister,
when I push the dresser against the door, I'm getting down immediately. You know the guy has a gun. Even a gun with a silencer, which I don't know much about this. I think that it takes a lot of the power. I mean, still more than enough to kill you, but it takes a lot of the power out of it because it's having to silence it. That's still going to go through a door. Yeah. Now, will it go through a door plus an entire dresser? Not as likely.
We got a lot of socks in there. That helps.
Yeah, and you've just got to hunker down and hold. I don't know. I mean, it's not a good situation, but you don't want to stand up and give him a chance to shoot you.
Well, he pushed his way through, and Jen bit his arm as well. So, we also, in the heat of the moment, I don't think any of us think 100% straight.
I mean, no, but biting his arm, that was... I mean, if I'm the gunman, I'm not sticking my arm in there like that. I can't see.
Well, you're trying to get in. You're trying to move the obstruction.
Because let me tell you, if you get bitten by someone, like as hard as they freaking can, you're incapacitated.
I remember when I was in high school and my mom and I were at the mall. There was a clothing store called J. Jacobs, and we were in there shopping around, and all of a sudden someone started screaming and screaming. And long story short, the security guard had found a shoplifter, and the shoplifter started biting the guy's private parts, I guess, to get away or something.
What? How was she being held that she was able to bite his dick?
Yeah, I don't know, but that is one of the memories I carry from my teen years, is being in J. Jacobs and a shoplifter biting the
you might want to scrub that one. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of what would you do's here. The long story short is that she was being put into a terrible position, having to figure this out in a situation where she walked in blind and the other guy had clearly done his homework. Like, you have to assume, they're in charge. Yeah, and he covered really the only base that he couldn't see, which was the women's bathroom, by having a camera or something in there that he could still see what's going on.
Yeah.
I did like the movie. I've been wanting to see this one for a while. I really wish I'd been able to see it without knowing the premise beforehand. It's hard when you see 87 million previews for the movie.
Yeah,
before.
and it was those previews that made you want to watch it in the first place.
Yeah, of course. So, hey, what's that on your phone?
We hope you enjoyed our episode. Thank you for listening. And to catch all the new episodes, please subscribe. We release 2 to 3 episodes weekly, so we'll have new content regularly. Until next time.